We're talking today with Arthur Clarke, the man responsible for communication satellites. Mr. Clarke, you've said not too long ago that in terms of communications, we're still in the semaphore and smoke stage. Would you put that in context, please?
Well, as far as the home is concerned, we have TV and radio and telephone. The telephone is the only way we can communicate outside yet. We get a lot of communication inwards through the radio and TV, but we're going to get devices which will enable us to send much more information to our friends. They'll be able to see us, we'll be able to see them, we'll be able to exchange pictorial information, graphical information, data, books, and so forth.
What would the ideal communications device be in your eyes?
Well, it would be a high-definition TV screen and a typewriter keyboard, and through this you can exchange any type of information, send messages to your friends which they can read. They can wait when they get up, they can see what messages have come in the night. You can call in through this any information you want, airline flights, price of things at the supermarket, books you've always wanted to read, news. You selectively, you can say, you'll tell the machine, I'm interested in such and such items, sports, politics, or so forth, and the machine will hunt the main central library and bring all this to you selectively, just what you want, and not all the junk which you have to get, when you buy the 2 or 3 pounds of wood pulp, which is the daily newspaper. And incidentally, this is going to save whole forests for posterity, because the newspaper is on the way out, and we're not going to ship all this tons and tons of paper around when all we need is information.
Well, if we have face-to-face communications from our home, does this clue in with your slogan, commute? Don't commute, communicate?
Yes, and we are moving slowly, perhaps too slowly, towards this kind of world. And this is the way we're going to solve the traffic problem, ultimately, not by covering the world with concrete, but by getting rid of the traffic. And in the world of the future, travel will be for pleasure, not necessity.
And how will this sort of communication and travel for pleasure affect our social lives, do you think? In terms of, say, time zones?
Yeah. Well, it's going to affect our social lives in many ways, as much as the automobile has done in the past, in many ways negatively, as much as the telephone has done in the past. You mentioned time zones, which are of concern in a country like the United States already, where you telephone from one coast to the other and your friends may be asleep or they may wake you up in the middle of the night. But in the global village of the future, it'd be like living in one small town where at any time about a third of your friends are asleep, but you won't even know which third. So we may have to abolish time zones completely and all go on the common time, same time for everybody, which will cause all sorts of problems.
When you first came up with the concept of communication satellites, didn't many scientists think this was a pretty far out and unreasonable idea?
Well, it was far out. It was 36,000 kilometers out. But no, not at that time. This was 1945, and the V2 rockets had arrived, and when my paper was published, the atomic bomb had been dropped. So at that time, people were prepared to accept almost anything. And I don't remember any negative criticisms. In fact, I don't remember any comments at all, to tell the truth. But there's certainly no feeling this was nonsense. And 10 years before, there would have been, but 1945, no.
What do you see ahead in terms of, really far ahead in terms of communications?
Well, the thing that really interests me isn't so much human communications, but communications with other intelligences elsewhere. This is the biggest unknown, of course, one of the most exciting prospects. Will we ever pick up signals from space, radio signals or any other kind of signal? Everybody feels sure there must be all sorts of higher civilizations out there with tremendous technological capabilities, and we ought to be able to pick up their signals, even if they're not beamed at us. They must have tremendous powers to play with. And I hope that I live to see the first reception of a signal from outer space.
Do you think that you will? Do you think it's that close?
It could happen tomorrow. Nobody knows. You see, it could happen tomorrow. It might be in the evening papers right now that someone has picked up the first signal. There have been several false alarms. People have thought they had done this. The pulsars, of people who found the pulsars first, these very rhythmic signals, yes. They thought they might be artificial.
This is very exciting. You also talk about a wristwatch.
A wristwatch radio. Well, Dick
yes,
Tracy, of course, had this many years ago, and the wristwatch telephone will be technologically feasible very soon, and so the telephone will no longer be sort of fixed in one place. It will be completely mobile, and this would again restructure society, and of course it has it has disadvantages as well as advantages. It means that anyone can get at you anytime you like. And of course you could switch off the calling sign, but then calling signal, but then you might have to explain later why it was switched off. But the advantages are so great. The number of thousands of lives to be saved every year by such a thing, and it seems to me, to override almost all other considerations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clarke. We've been speaking with Arthur Clarke, the man behind the communications satellite. This is Pat McCallum for AT&T Monitor.